of all those grosser perceptions. Finally, and what happens is you continually let go. Yeah, and let go means you kind of do not take anything, any experience that are hitting your awareness to be you yourself or anything. Yeah. So what the Buddha calls, this is not me, this is not mine, this is not myself. And you constantly check this awareness: is this me, is this mine, is this myself? And you always see that, okay, this is just a flash, this is just a flash. Is it worth holding into this flash? No, just let go. Just no, this is not me, this is not mine. It's like you just abandon this. There is nothing in a kind of this sort of things, or any kind of, there isn't any satisfactoriness into those sort of fleeting phenomena. What you do when you experience higher jhanas, those any kind of activities are burdens. Yeah? They will only drag you down. So you enjoy the lightness, you enjoy the emptiness, you enjoy the kind of if you kind of are traveling with a backpack. Yeah, so some sort of you are in a scorching hot heating sun, and you have been given like a 50 kilo of a sack on your back, and you've been told to walk, and somebody was kind to share a half a load of your sack, and somebody took off the half of your load. You will be so delighted, you will be so happy because of the reduction of the load. In the same way, in your meditation, when you let go of first jhana, you arrive in the second jhana, your load will be much better, you will feel much lighter because of the letting go. That in this is how you see, you experience letting go. You will feel light, you will feel comfortable, you will feel even happier, because letting go is not a bad thing. Although it may be a bad thing for any worldling people, they might be wailing and weeping because they lost their car, they lost their house, or they lost their kind of property, that sort of things, because they like to amass things. But in this discipline, in this noble eightfold path, letting go is far more happier than keeping it. Yeah. So, and that's precisely how we progress. So it's these keeping things, they only makes our kind of the our journey, our our path burdensome. So that's why I say, you let go of first jhana, you let go of that certain rapture and pleasure of the jhana in the first jhana. You let go of that, because as soon as you let that go, you will experience even higher and more sublime, peaceful experience. So there is no kind of lamenting about losing that first jhana, because you have found even greater happiness by letting go of that first jhana. So you let go of the second jhana, you arrive at even better, even more happy feeling. Yeah. So you let that go, and letting that go, that means you ease off your burden, and you have become lighter, and your experience will be much more subtle, and you will be happier because you have let go of the burden. So that's how this kind of noble eightfold path is going to be. So if I was to give a kind of example, so you have seen the Apollo kind of the mission to the moon, and if you look at the design of the rocket, that rocket has got 6 or 7 stages of all these the capsules and sort of kind of engines fitted in that rocket. So what you see in the very bottom of that rocket is that the heaviest and the most kind of powerful type of thrusters are in the bottom part, because that part need to pull out this heaviest gravity the effect, so it need to counter that sort of gravity. So that is like then when that rocket goes into the space, it uses that to let go of very very coarse kind of very worldly kind of sensual pleasure. Then it burns that fuel, and it is now entering the orbit of the earth, and it doesn't need much fuel. And the second stage, it lets go of the burner on the bottommost part of the burner in the rocket, because as soon as it has let go of that, it drops that away, then the rocket will be much lighter, and it doesn't need as much fuel. It will go proceed in the space much faster. It will be much lighter, and again eventually that rocket will burn off that fuel again, and it will let go of that sort of uh, that stage 2, and it will be even lighter, and it will not need as much fuel, and that's how it progresses all the way to the space. Once it has reached the space, what we see that all the notion of gravity that we thought that we need to have the support of the earth will be completely that notion will go away. And when anything in the space exists, it doesn't need the gravity. Anything on the space would stay wherever there is no need for any support. And there is a saying, and then the Buddha says that in the Udana somewhere in the Buddha says, because for supported there is a what we call the for supported there is a worry and anxiety, because it needs that support. But for unsupported, there is no anxiety, there is no burden, and that's where the Nibbana is unsupported. Nibbana is unconditioned. Nibbana is what is called is undirected, unestablished. It doesn't need any support. It is the supportless state. It is conditionless state. So we ultimately what we need to reach is not be bound by this gravity of the earth, not be dependent on this gravity of the earth, which is the artificial type of support that we are kind of used to. Yeah, what we do not know is that it's like we get scared that if there was no gravity, and if we fall into space, we will go into the chasm of the space. That's not the case. That's this in a vast space. You don't need a gravity. Yeah, so there is no support needed. So take the state of Nibbana like that. You don't need to have that sort of false notion of gravity to stay in your chair or in your bed. All this concept of bed, chair, house, and any kind of shade of tree or some sort of all these will fade away. You don't need anything. Yeah, it's just this all this fabrication of this support and all this kind of roof and any kind of all this will go away. And the things in the space do exist. They didn't need any support. So take Nibbana like that, is that it's kind of the all these notions of kind of having that sort of feeling, all this notion of having perception, all this notion of formations and consciousness and the body, these are all kind of burdens, and these are only things that will cause kind of the suffering to arise. This you need to maintain them, you need to keep, and those sort of things will only have that sort of the element of having to take care of them is only going to lead us to more dejection, more suffering, more unhappiness, more kind of painful states. So